Welcome. Saludos. Bonsoir. Salam.
Look at that.
Just to make sure you are in the right room. This is a mother's perspective through education and activism, a special education challenge for immigrant families and the power of diverse leadership. So you know the title was supposed to be My Superheroes. So just to give you a description, a little more succinct description of this, the topic of special education or inclusive education is one that many families struggle to understand, navigate, and then must make a case to others while a child needs services. Each panelist will share their story and what they've learned, and share ideas for parents who are also on a similar journey. Each panel is about 10 minutes each, and after they are done, we have some prepared questions, and after that, we'll take questions from the audience. So let me introduce the panelists. You do have something in your program, but here's my introduction. To my left, Raquel Cruzada is a mom, married, and has 3 beautiful children.
Four.
One of whom, 4 beautiful children, excuse me. One of whom, her son, has cerebral palsy. Raquel has been working with families in the Dominican communities in Massachusetts. Raquel is a citizen member of the Massachusetts Developmental Disabilities Council and serves as chairperson. Next over is Cynthia Lane. Cynthia is a mom.
Hello.
Married, has 4 brilliant boys, 2 of whom are diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. Cynthia has been working with families in the Haitian communities of Massachusetts. Cynthia is a citizen member of the Massachusetts Developmental Disabilities Council. And to my far left, Asha Abdullahi is a mom, married, and has 5 wonderful boys, one of whom is diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. Asha has been working with families in the Somali communities in Massachusetts. Asha is also a citizen member of the Massachusetts Developmental Disabilities Council. Now, before I let them kick this off, you're probably wondering what the 4 of us might have in common. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Craig, you're not that handsome. Okay, so all 4 of us share a common passion. All of our children have received special education or inclusive education in Massachusetts. So we will begin with Raquel. She'll have 10 minutes to talk about her story, what she has learned, and some of the solutions and tips to parents. Come.
Hola, ¿cómo están todos? Muy agradecida de que todos ustedes estén aquí compartiendo con nosotros esta tarde. ¿Cómo se sienten? ¿Ah? That's right. Ha. Me gustaría, I would like to know who don't understand what I say in Spanish. That's right. That was me 18 years ago when I arrived to this country. Hi, my name is Raquel Quesada. I'm a mother of child of cerebral palsy, medical complex. I also have 2 kids with ADHD. And when I arrived to United States, I used to work in TV and I used to go to college. Why I say this? Because sometimes not every parent that they don't understand the language doesn't mean they are not professional. It doesn't mean that they don't come in with a professional background for their country. And some professional think that because we don't understand or speak well the language, that we are, lack of knowledge. When I arrived to the United States, I was 26. It was very hard for me to understand the language because, 26, and I say this because Spanish is my first language. And my mom, used to live here. Now she retired to my country, Dominican Republic. And she lived here for 40 years. She never understand, and she never speak the language. When I get married, I was supposed to live the life happy ever after, right? Like everybody have the dream when you arrive to United States. And then God rewind me with my son. Now he's 18. When I received the diagnosis, it was a fancy language for me, cerebral palsy. And I'm just like, whoa, that sounds pretty. But nobody explained to me what was that. Nobody explained to me what I was about to facing. Nobody explained to me the process that I was about to live with my son. Um, his disability hit me one time when I was feeding him, and he turned black. And I had to run to emergency, and all of a sudden, my son had G2. And I'm just like, okay, this is new for me. Since now he still have a G2. My life wasn't easy because I had to live by myself through the process. When I say by myself, you say, but you live in United States. So I was like, I don't have no resource available for me. I thought I was the only parents in the world, not even in United States, they have a kid with cerebral palsy and G2 and medical complex. By that time, also seizures, disorder, and now he's still nonverbal. Not to mention that he was about to go to school. IEP, special education. What is that? Um, so I start navigate the system by myself. I start asking some question. I start asking a friend, but that was enough. That was not enough for myself, for my family. And then when more than I asked in school, it was a lack of communication. It was a lot of barrier. All the information that they was giving me to me, it was in the language that I don't speak. So how come they want me to be involved in something that I don't, have a access. Um, so what I did learn in that point, it was that advocacy, it was going to be the kid of the future for my son. And I learned, there was a lot of program out there for myself. In order for me to learn, I had to involve myself in program social, like a leadership program. That's when I learned about the LAM program. If anybody know about the LAM program, so after that, I was feeling very powerful. But in the beginning, I was feeling like I don't belong in the LAM program because it was a lot of like professional, medical, you name it. And here, mom, here, what is she doing here? Not until I learned that the table had four legs, and I was one of the legs, probably one of the more important legs of the table. And without me, my son will not continue to have success in life. Come back to the IP process. I never feel welcome. I never feel welcome. I never feel like I was part of the team. In that time, they were making a lot of decisions without telling me. The information was continued back home to me in the language that I don't understand. And I was very patient. I was very patient. I was very like, trying to be involved, even though it was not enough open door for my family. And then I realized that I also have a community of parents and that I learned, and they were like teaching me and telling me, no, this is what you had to do. You had the right to ask, you had the right to do this and do this. So in silent, I was like creating a monster that they will not see it. I was like learning, empower myself, documento, everything that they would like give it to me. I was like, save it and email until one day, boom, and they were like very surprised. Um, I will say that every parents have a different journey. Every parents have different process. I'm blessed that I have my husband with me. He's been there for me all the time, but not every parent has that blessing. It's just, every time I meet a parent, single parents, with, facing economy, depression, mental health. You mentioned Jose, right? That everybody have mental health, right? But some of them they struggle. Some parent facing, disability, lack of knowledge. And I always say to a professional, like a Jose say in his presentation too, you have to meet the parent where they are, not the parent meet you where you are. So that's kind of part of my journey. In this moment, I keep in, advocating, navigating the system. Every day is one day I say in the life of my son Shuang. It's not in my life. He's right now facing the transition. I had to ask him, what are we gonna do? What are you gonna do? With your life. He just wanna be in the iPad. He's 18. He's nonverbal, but we learning every day. And I want to say to every parent that are here and professional, our kids have a great potential. We just have to find also, their passion. Everybody, it doesn't matter what kind of disability we have, because I also have ADHD. You have to find your passion. And I'm glad that I found my passion through my son, because when he came to my life, I don't have any purpose. I don't have any passion. And now, the disability, I say to people that I breathe, 2 minutes, that I breathe, I sleep, I eat. Every time that I go everywhere, I try to find a way to help parents, to find a way to be, proactive in my community, because, it can be somebody that they just learning, they just started, they just received the diagnostic and they don't know what to do, and we can make a difference in their life. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Raquel. Next up is Cynthia Lane. So Cynthia's going to tell us about her story, what she's learned, and some solutions and tips for everybody.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, okay. I'm not gonna speak. I'm not gonna tell you my story if you guys sound like that.
Come on, people, wake up!
We gotta wake up. My name is Cynthia. Just like Greg said, I'm originally from Haiti. So I came to this country when I was 13 years old, and my first experience with the language was at 13. I started high school, so brand new to the country. And to let you know, in Haiti, they teach you English, they teach you Spanish, they teach you Latin. What language you think was my least favorite? English. So I will be in school and just want to pass English because I never wanted to do anything with English. I loved Spanish, but English was a no-no for me. And I learned when I came here, I should have learned English back then at home. And the first experience that I had with the language was nobody wanted to be my friend. Nobody wanted to help me. Even Haitians that were from Haiti, because at that time, being Haitians were not cool. It was not cool to be Haitian because they will call you come from the boat and you smell, and nobody wanted to say the Haitian. They will say, well, I'm Jamaican. And these kids were kids that were in church with me. But when it was school, they would turn away from me. Um, but I will never forget, I had a teacher who did not speak Haitian Creole, but he knew some words in French, and we speak French as well. And I remember every time he will, because back then they didn't have Google Translate, so he'll go back, and then these little words that he knew, he would help me out with it. So that was like my first experience as far as like the language. But one thing that I did while I was in high school was I will never forget one person said to me, if you want to learn English, learn how to go to these different, I think PBS back then. Go to PBS and then go to these, those baby shows that they have, so they teach them how to talk. So I used to just watch them after school, and I started learning more English and more English. And then my friends were like, whoa, she's smart. Now she knows English because we know everything. So when I was in high school, I already knew all the stuff because back home we're a little bit more advanced than in the US. And then they started being my friends. So, but I vowed to, at that time, to always help people that did not speak the language because I knew how it felt being new to a country. So every time there was a new kid coming from Haiti, I'm like, hey, I'm right here. I will guide them through. So I am a mom of 4 boys. I am married with my husband, and then I have my 4 boys, and also my mom lives with me. And my mom always wanted me to have children. and she wanted a girl, but I ended up giving her 4 boys. I'm her only child, and we found out the diagnosis of our kid um, with my second child at 3 years old. But my first child, I remember I was seeing a lot of signs of autism. I didn't know what autism was, but I was like, why is he walking on his tiptoe? Because he'll be like walking like this. And then he was so bubbly, and then he used to wander a lot, run away. And even when he was like 9 months, we'll put him on a chair and he'll have the chair on top of his head and he's running whenever the door is. I'm like, what is that? And I'll tell the doctor, and the doctor's like, nah, he's just a boy and he wasn't talking. And they're like, no, he's a black boy. It takes time. That's what they used to say to me. And then, from my culture, whenever an expert says something to you, we believe it's right, it's correct. The expert, they know what they're talking about. But I thought, like, why is he not talking? So he started talking like at 5 years old. But in school, they were calling me like, he's not sitting down. What is wrong with Ryan and everything? And I'm like, what do you want me to do? You guys are the teacher. But they're like, well, Ryan is not sitting down. And I remember I had a 3-year-old child as well, which before he was in early intervention at 18 months old, I started seeing signs with him. His signs were different. He was lining up objects and all these different things he was doing. And then the clinician said, hey, I see some signs of autism. I'm like, what is autism? She was giving me a little bit of information, but it still was like, what is that? What is she talking about? But she said, well, you should get the evaluation, get the referral from your doctor, and then get the evaluation. And then when I called for evaluation, they told me 7 years I have to wait. And I said, what? 7 years? Busting children. And then I'm very grateful for Stephanie, because without her, I wouldn't know where to go, because I would have waited 7 years, right? So she had referred me to somewhere else outside of the city, which was 2 months. So my son was diagnosed with autism. And I remember that feeling, because I was Googling it and I'm like, oh my God, what that means. But I remember my son was not even supposed to be born, my second child, because they told me he was going to have trisomy 13. I should have get rid of him. And I said, what? I said, I believe in God. So I said, if God gave me a child, I'll keep my child, even if it's for 1 second. I want to see him. I want to hold him. If he wants to take him away, can take him away. And the doctor said, okay, believe in your God. It's okay. And I'm like, whatever. They sent me a big bill. And now I wish that I have the address so I can show him who my son is, even though he has autism. He's a great kid. He's wonderful. So as my journey was going on, I got the diagnosis. Like I mentioned to you guys, I didn't even understand the word, because the doctor didn't even say anything but say negative things about my son. He won't be able to do this. He won't be able to do that. So all these things get into my mind, and I was like, wow, this is not the dream that I had. I had a dream where my son will be married, that he will have friends. Now you tell me he can't communicate. How am I going to communicate with him? And I remember after the diagnosis, my husband had to come and get me in the highway because I was crying with tears. So he left work and then come and say, hey, baby, we're going to do it. We're going to do it together. And it took me a while, because acceptance into our community, it's one thing we struggle a lot in the Haitian community. The first thing is people started blaming me. Maybe you did something to God. That's why you have not only one but two sons with autism. And and I used to just be away from my family for a while. My mom took care of my two kids because I'll be working overtime. I didn't want to see when my child was having a meltdown. I didn't know how to deal with that. I was running away. Every time I had new clients coming in, I was like, yeah, give it to me, because I was in finance. And I said, give it to me. I'll take this client. I'll take this client. And I'll drive far away and I'll come home midnight because they already fall asleep. But my mom is such a wonderful mother, and my husband, they were there taking care of my son. And I had to stop running away, because I said, if I run away, how am I going to help them? I might not know anything, but if I don't go find out. So I started to slow down and I started connecting with other moms. I was grateful Raquel came my way. She kind of guided me into different leadership series that I can get involved with. I met Asha as well too. And there were so many wonderful people. As I was getting trainings, I was no longer a mom with kids with autism, but a mom with kids with autism with knowledge. So one thing that I learned my purpose. And my purpose was not only my two children, but my Haitian community. And the more that I found out their needs, what they were going to, is the more I was going out there and learn more and providing to them. And we end up having different radio shows teaching them what is autism, how to embrace their kids, and how to deal with the journey. And as as far as like solution wise, the solution was just collaborating. I end up founding Black Autism Coalition because I said if I didn't have the help myself, I need to go out there and help others. And through that organization, I start meeting people at their level. There are people that already have services, and there are people that didn't have services. There's people that don't even know how to read and write. So I will be there going to their home and kind of like help them, collaborating with different organizations so I can bring everything within my community. So my advice for you guys that are out there, we all have our struggle. We all deal with different things, but it's how you deal with it. I mean, you can get down, but don't get down for too long. You get right back up and connect yourself with other people. Connect yourself with, other moms, with other dads. Sometimes, yes, you don't speak the language, but that doesn't mean there's nobody out there that's going to be able to see you. So if you collaborate and then you know what your purpose is, there's nothing that's going to be impossible. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Cynthia. And now Asha's going to tell her story and what she's learned and how she found some solutions. Asha.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Asha Abdullahi. Um, I came here to the United States in a different way. These young girls come to the United States. I came here as a refugee from Somalia. So in 1991, there was a civil war in Somalia. So I was planning to come to the United States and to go to college. My brother, who's 4 years older than me, was already here, going to BU. And my plan was when I finish high school, I will join him to the United States. But that didn't happen. So the Civil War, when it happened, everything got lost. I was separated from my parents and my younger brother, who was at that time 4 years old. So I went to state, country to country. Then I ended up in the United States. And the reason I came to the United States was my brother sponsored us to come. So I really reunited with my parents and my brother a year and a half later. I didn't even know if they were alive or dead a year and a half. And they didn't know if I survived either. So that was a very challenging time to go to another country as a refugee, to stay in refugee camp for 2 years and 8 months before I came to the United States. So while I was in that camp, the only thing I can do was help the young kids who were at that time 4 or 5 years old, with my brother's age, to teach them how to read and how to write. So I was a teacher with not having experience to teach them, but that kept me insane. So I wanted to do something and not think about missing my mother and other family member who we lost during the war, and the life we lost, and identity we lost. So that was a very tough time. So when I came to the United States, and I was trying to find a job first, not the education I always wanted to get. And I'm from a family who are doctors and lawyers and all have higher education, so I didn't even get that when I was younger. So, so I started working at the Logan Airport. That was my first job, and I worked in United Airlines. So, but I always wanted to go back to school and get the higher education I always wanted. It didn't happen for a while. Then I got married, have kids, and my son, Adam, is my fourth son. That's one thing I have in common with Cynthia. I have 5 boys. No girl. I have no sister either, even though she's the same thing. She's the only child, but I have 3 brothers. So when my son was 2.5 years old, that's when I started concerned about my son. because physically he was growing fine. When I take him to the doctor, they say everything is fine. He was, the height, the weight, everything was fine. But the doctor never recognized, when my son, he thought he was talking, but he was blabbering. And he thought he was talking to my language. So, and I didn't, every time he asked me, does he talk? I just say, yeah, he talks. Because I know in my family and my community, they will say, don't worry about it. If you tell those doctors, they're going to do too many tests, so don't share with anything. Just say, he's fine. So I didn't say anything until when he was 3 years old, and I said, now I have to talk to the doctor. And when I shared the doctor about not Adam is not talking, that's when he referred me to go to register him at school because he already missed early intervention. So he didn't qualify early intervention. Through that, we were living in a suburban area, so they sent us a speech pathologist at home to help him to learn how to speak. But that speech pathologist was not only a speech pathologist, she was like a behavior analysis as well, the way she helped my son. She was very young, just graduated in speech pathology, education, whatever, that master's degree. And she had beautiful blonde hair. My son always grabbed her hair and pulling her, and that's how he was playing with her. So she used to put Cheerios in her hair, and he will give her an eye contact, so she will get his attention, so he can talk to her. And another thing he used to communicate with me was he grabbed my hand and he will take me to the kitchen and point whatever he wants. And she said, don't do that. Don't give him, when he pointed, let him talk. Tell him to wait. So she helped me in so many ways. I call her my angel. Her name was Camila. I never forget. So she's the one who gave me a lot of support I needed. I didn't have a parent support group. When I go to the school and I have to sign at the IEP, I don't even know what I signed. I was just signing what the teachers tell me. This is what your son needs, and this is what you're going to be signing. So they never explained to me that much, but she's the one I always go and say, today I signed this, what is this? And then she will explain to me what that means. And eventually, I talk to other parents. I work at Mass General Hospital. I'm a scrub nurse. So working with those groups, I talked to people and I told them about what I was going through. And eventually I wanted my son to have a inclusive class. That was my biggest challenge. I knew my son now, he started talking, he started better eye contact, behavior was reduced because now people can understand him, he can communicate better. But they still telling me my son that's not good idea for him to put him in inclusive class. So she told me you can request for a second opinion. So I have to request second opinion. Like Cynthia said, they told me you're gonna wait for a year or so. So I talked to the doctors. I work with MGH, and they helped me get an appointment faster, less than a month. And that's when I got all the papers I need for my son. They say he can try to go to inclusive class. But then when I had the meeting with the team, the way they talked to me and the way they talked about my son, because I was a psychologist, and she said, I think I know better what your son needs. This is not a good idea. And the speech pathologist, I requested more hours because I want him to learn and to talk better. She said, no, that's not gonna help. So I decided to move out of that town. So I moved to Newtown, sell the house, sell everything, come to near the Boston area. So that's where I got the real support. And I was lucky to have another angel in the public school. And that teacher also helped me to understand what it means one-on-one. She said, your son, if he goes to inclusive class, he might need support, but he doesn't need that much support. But you can ask the one-on-one because they should have done this long time ago. So then when my son started in the second grade and third grade and got the one-on-one, a year later, he was number 1 in the whole math grade in the whole school. So that's the child they wanted to keep him. So that's the son they wanted to keep him in not having that opportunity. I understand not every child benefit inclusive class, but I think every child should try. You never know until you try. And also you need to always have a higher expectation for your children. Always try, they can try better, they can do better if they get the opportunity and the support they need. So things I learned was connect with people who support your children and understanding, services help your children because as an immigrant community or as refugees, we came from a country where there was no special education, not even a lot of kids get the education, regular classes. So I would say all children need a parents who are engaged in the school and understand, my country, the teachers were making the rules and we followed it. Here is different. This is more opportunity. There's laws to protect the children and they need to understand all of that. So I would say educate yourself and also have a faith. Faith is always the number one because if you don't have a higher expectation and faith for your child, I think that will prevent you for so many opportunities, you and your child.
Thank you, Asha. Thank you, Asha. Thank you, Raquel. Thank you, Cynthia. Asha. We have some prepared questions, and I'm going to pose the question, and we'll see which of these ladies will field it first. What are some of the challenges for immigrant families in non-native speaking families?
I think it's one of the main challenges that we facing in all community where the English is not the first language, is the communication. But not only the communication as a second language. Sometimes you might speak the language, but you don't have a clear in a person like Asha always mentioned, an angel. When you say angel, is a professional that work with passion. They want to make a difference. They want to go beyond in that family. They really want to make a great impact, not only in the family, but only in the child. Um, Communication, clear language that is plain. We don't need to use those terminology fancy when you want to go to the point and have a clear communication with the parents, because more clear communication is better that they're going to be proactive. It's better that they're going to be advocated. It's better chance that they're going to be present. And being present, you had to, um, identify the potential also for those parents. Yes, you're gonna find parents that you might say, oh, they are, excuse me, but I've been listening this a lot, and I don't think it's appropriate when some teachers say, oh no, the parents is lazy. When you say lazy, you don't know is that parent facing, depression. You don't know is that family facing a struggle with economy, or maybe the husband left her. You don't know is that family doesn't have transportation. You don't know is that family doesn't have the food. Yes, they might have coupon, but they don't have enough food for go through to the month. So sometimes instead of you say that parent is lazy, she don't want to be involved, she's not here never, go see how I can make an impact and different in that family, have a clear communication, and also building a trust, building a relationship with that parents, that they might come and say, hey, yes, I have probably 2 months facing depression. Can you help me to find a resource for me? Can you find to help me how to go into those pantry in our community? Because we're also facing, judgment. Like we don't want the professional thing that we, are don't want to be enough, or we don't feel enough parent to our kids. So it's a lot of barrier that our family in the Latino community faces. But by you having clear and empathy and passion communication with them, you maybe is 100% chance that you will make a difference and impact in those family life.
Oh,
The same question.
okay. Sorry. As far as like the challenges is the language. We got. I'm a Haitian Creole interpreter. I got in the field because of the fact that I went to one meeting and then got an interpreter there, and I was like, "What is this interpreter saying?" Nothing that has to do with special education. So a lot of the parents, there are two things with them. Even if the interpreter is bad, a lot of them feel guilty because they think if they say that interpreter is bad, the interpreter is going to lose their job. And that's one thing that I advocate for them, and I teach the parents that I work with. It's okay. It's not like if the person is not doing their job, maybe they're going to need more training, but you cannot just accept and say yes, yes, yes to everything and then suffer at the end, because half of the time they come back to me with all the questions. You should be able to ask these questions in there. And with interpreting too, as well too, a lot of the time they don't get the materials on time to them. And I can tell you how many times they give the paperwork in English to the parents. They say, hey, we will give you the interpreting material in 2 weeks, but you have the English one. So imagine a parent, I said some parents don't know how to read and write. Yes, yes, some don't. They don't. And it's not their fault. It's based on how it is back home. Not everybody had access to education. So imagine you give someone a paper, assuming that, yeah, probably they'll go on Google if they don't understand. They don't know how to scan this and then, something I will do or Asha will do. They don't know that. They have to have someone doing it. So this has been a huge challenge into our immigrant community, because we not only want it in simple language, but well interpreted. And every city in different countries have different dialects. My dad is from the south, and my mom is from no, my dad's from the north. I'm sorry, my mom is from the south. They both have different dialects. So if you're talking to my dad, the way they're talking is not the same way. So there are people out there that knows this language, and they don't kind of connect them to help these families and understand that. And sometimes even as an interpreter, I tell you that that's my job. As an interpreter, I go there. I can't advocate. I have to do my job. And I do that, why? Because I want to see how the system goes. And it's messed up, guys. It's messed up so badly. And I'm like, why? Why? And then when I come as an interpreter and as an advocate, they don't want that in the school. You know that? They don't want that. I can't do both. I can't do both. Yes, the way they do the interpreting, it's all messed up. It's not it's a system that needs work. It needs a lot of work. I'm telling you, people are using Google. This is something I know. They go, they copy and paste in Google, and then they just send it to a parent. It's not okay. You need to have people that have experience with interpreting, that are certified. Like me, I said I'm an interpreter. I am a certified interpreter. I went to school for that. I took a class for that. Going to Google, copy and paste, and sending it to someone. You know why I say that? All right. If you say water, right? So water means different thing in my language. You know what water means sometimes if you put it in English and send it? It means poop. So mind you, if you go and put it in Google Translate, you send it to the parent, right? They're gonna be like, "What the heck is that? What are you trying to say to me?" So that's what I mean. I know sometimes there's a need to get, fast to the parents so they can understand. But that's why, like, we have to have a better system. And I know Massachusetts is fighting hard to have people that specialize in special education. And then, we're still in the work of that. But that's one of the biggest challenge, because just like she was talking, right? And she was speaking Spanish, and you guys like, what? And then last year when I came in, there was a Spanish speaker.
Yeah.
We had
And I
to have,
cried,
yep,
yes,
we had to have all of us have
Translation.
translation so we can hear and understand. So it's the same way too. Just the same way you want to understand what I'm saying in your language, I want to understand what you're saying in my language. And that's one of the things that I want to keep fighting for. And I educate my families in a way to like say no. If you don't understand something, I don't understand it. Say it better for me. And a lot of parents, they have hard time saying that. And it's not their fault, because if you say yes, 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 you say yes, right? That's how it is here. You say yes, that means you understand. But one thing that could be better too is if you see a parent saying yes, yes all the time, and you're in the field, it's making sure that do they understand really.
I think you said most of the important thing about the language, but also I think understanding education system, how it works in the United States, that's another challenge. For example, some parents, when they have a child, especially with a physical disability in my community, they don't want their kids to go to school because they worry about who's going to take care of my child if he goes to school, who's going to be, making sure they don't have a pressure points, who's going to make sure he eats because my son doesn't communicate, he's not going to tell me what happened to him today. So they think, I'm the best person to take care of my child and he's going to stay home. And that's what happened to a lot of families. Their kids miss school a lot because they worry about who's going to take care of their kids. And I think that goes to they have the experience they have back home. Some of the kids, when they have a disability, especially mental health disability, kids will make fun of them. They might be throwing rocks on them. And those are things they remember and they think that happens here. So that's what they need to understand about special education laws for the schools to use, no child left behind, understanding, every child have the opportunity to go to school in this country. But one thing can help those families was to allow them to come to the school and see how their kids are doing at school. But most of the educators don't want to visit the parents to come to the school, especially during the COVID. And now they make a lot of excuses. We don't have enough support or team. So I think one of the things to ease out that anxiety would be opportunity to give the parents to come to the school and visit and see how their kids will be taken care of.
Thank you everyone for that. We have 3 more questions. I'm going to ask you guys your responses for about 3 minutes. Each one of you goes, I know that, like you said. Trying to share as much information as we can. Second question is, what are some strategies and tactics for those seeking special education support?
I got one. Can I answer?
Of course, no.
All right.
Just one.
So I struggle, right? I struggle when my son was about to go to school and I don't have nobody, no workshop, no training. So I wanna, I always say to the parent, present the problem, but also try to get the solution together with the professional. Present the solution also too. So by saying that, I'm the founder of the organization nonprofit called Cambiando el Mundo, de personas con discapacidades, which means changing the world for people with disabilities. So our mission is focused in training parents in the IP process. How do we training the parents how to be advocated, proactive, but not only focus in the child, focus also in the parent needs. So we tackle the mental health, we tackle, the economy, we tackle so many problems before we start focusing in the IP process in the special education. So my organization nonprofit is based in Lawrence, in Massachusetts, and we've been having those training for the past year. And every year we have a group of large of parents coming to my organization very angry, very like sad, and say why the schools don't teach me this, why they don't give me the training, why they don't give me the training and to learn how to navigate the system. And don't say that. I'm gonna say something, but don't go outside and say. And I say, it's because they don't want you to learn. Because most of the parents learn, what's gonna happen? They're gonna ask for more service. The school is gonna have, to create more funders, and they had to hire more people or professional, like for example, Spanish speaking. So it's a system work, but I had to, we're doing that, and I think that's one of the strategies that we can create it in the school system to have, a little training for the parents. Okay, your son just started in an IP system. Come, we're gonna have a training. This is the IP, this is the process, and walking through to the parents.
And I agree with Raquel. Education and training. That's one thing that I always say to all my parents. Although I do offer them trainings as well, I said you got to go out there and learn. And one thing that I realized, the more you learn and you know what you're doing, it's the more now they're like, wow, she knows what she's talking about. Because a lot of the time, because of your language and they think you don't understand stuff, they kind of like slide things left to right. But when you know what you're talking about, now it's like, I cannot deal with that. That's why, like, I always empower them, like, before a meeting, an IEP meeting, make sure you get ready. This is how you get ready for it. The other thing uh, I just wanna add, as far as like a tactic wise, is collaborating with the parents. And I feel like there's great teachers out there, and I have to say to you, my son's been very gracious to have wonderful teachers, and I wish every children of every family had their children, their teachers like that. But that's not what we have. But if the parents and the teachers collaborate, we can find the weaknesses and we can help out each other much better. Because if we look at it, our kids spend more time with the teachers than ourselves, especially when they are in school. We only get them into the weekend, so collaborating with each other will be a great thing as well. You good?
I think in what was the question? I forgot.
What some
It's a strategy that you
strategies
can
and
present.
tactics.
Oh, the strategies. I think the biggest strategies is the parents learning how to engage. Engaging parents are always the one who knows where their child needs support and how to advocate. Knowing your child, where their strengths are and what they're passionate about, and also how to advocate for the services your child might need. For me, what I struggle for my son, if I talk about my son, is how to socialize. So every time I was requesting my son to have a group he can talk to during the lunchtime, the break time, the kids who can he can play games with, and they always tell me, "Oh, he has friends. He has one friend." But I always wanted my son to have more friends, even though it doesn't bother him. It was bothering me, and I wanted my son to have a friend. So I was always going to all the events in school and bringing him. I still do. He goes to college now, and I always say, where did you involve? What club did you join? So always get involved with your child and make sure they have not just the academic, you always fighting, also their social skills and friends and making sure they don't have bullies so they can talk about
Thank you, everybody, for that response. The third question is, how do we work to overcome cultural differences seeking special education support?
I can talk about the culture because I provide culture broker presentation for the school system as well as the healthcare providers. And the things we do is we talk to them about each culture, how they're different. And I'm not the only one who's doing those presentations. I do with Vietnamese, Spanish speakers, Haitian, and other culture. So we talk about our culture and we say cultural programs are the linking and mediators between the groups, people who have different culture, to, to reduce conflict. So how to reduce conflict, how to communicate with each other better, and how to understand other communities where that conflict is coming from. So when you have that understanding, not only we don't have to train our parents, we also have to train the teachers and healthcare providers as well, how to work with our community. So if they both get educated and they can come together, and that will reduce conflicts.
And as far as overcoming cultural differences, one thing that I want to add with what Asha said is, there's different cultures, right? Here in the United States, I had to learn, for example, to make sure I look at people in the eye. Because when I first came, it was like, no, in my culture, you shouldn't look at, if the person is older than you, you shouldn't look at them in the eye. It's considered rude. So for a long time, people were thinking like, why are you not looking at me in my eye? So I had to overcome that. And when I'm around my community, I look down. But when I'm around speaking with an American, I'm gonna do that. So one thing is it's just learning. And if you don't wait till it's the time that's when you're learning about a culture, but a little piece at a time. You know what I mean? What they like, what's good, what not to do, and that way, when they have like a different culture, a student coming in the classroom, that student, you already know how to interact with them. You know a little bit about them, because when you know a little bit about someone's culture, that starts the conversation right there. It could be a food, it could be anything. I said I grew up a little bit in Haiti. I was able to learn a little bit about the American culture when I came here, so that will help a little bit more when it comes to the special education. And then as well too, just like I said, parents think all teachers, right, they all experts, so they believe everything you said. So you got to let them understand, okay, it's okay for you to speak. If something's not going right or you know something about it, it's okay to let us know that. So that's one thing that I wanted to add.
Real quick, I will have to say the building trust between parents in personal connection. Sometimes we have to go beyond our expertise or our job. Sometimes, for example, I like when the teachers say, "Oh, Raquel, I had to go do a consultant to your house," because they know that when they come to my house, I'm gonna wait for them with the table full of food. It's like they call a festi, like when we prepare like a food for Christmas, a feast. You see, I don't even know how to say it. So when they come to my house, for me, that's very like, I feel very grateful that they want to know more about what is the environment that my son live and who's the component, who's there. So I'm very grateful by showing them that, I prepare like a lot of meal and they feel happy. And, building that connection, they also acknowledge my work too, because sometimes it's not only about the teacher. You sometimes have to like say thank you to the parents, like, oh, thank you for doing this, because that empower the parent and let them know that they've been doing a great job too. Because it's hard. It's hard when you have other children, when you have a job, when you have a dog, when you have a husband, when you have a lot of stuff and you own, personal and professional stuff. Like myself, I also, in college, 48. I'm in college, studying psychology. Sometimes it's too much, and we also had to, have everything ready for our kids, and everybody, especially the husband too. And be respectful when you engage. Sometimes, like I say in the beginning, family have a different cultural, different, process. Just be respectful of the culture and let them know that you want to learn more. Respectful, sometimes if the person is from Dominican Republic, sometimes you say, hey, can you tell me a little bit more so I can learn, so I can engage more with you and your family? So I think that will be great.
Thank you, everybody, for that question. This is not one of the prepared questions, so I'm going to throw you guys a curveball. You guys were a little bit, we have a little extra time.
Okay.
You folks have all talked about husbands and how important it has been for you. Tell us a little bit more about how important it is to have your immediate family support to follow through your journey.
Wow. I can start doing pretty thing about my husband. Because in the beginning, he was not there. He was, typical Latino community. I only gonna give you the money. I only gonna pay for the house. I only gonna be there economy-wise. But he never know how many daughters my son had. He never come with me to his appointment. He never, look at your face. That's for real. He never was there in my son's surgery because I was handling, because I was superwoman, because I don't need you. I only need your money.
Give me the money.
You might laugh, give me the money. But this is how sometimes, our husband focus too much and pay the bill. But we, been facing a lot of baggage until we tired, until our marriage is declining. Because, even sometimes I had to travel by myself because my husband had to work. And it was in the point that I say to him, what am I doing? I do everything by myself, so I don't need you. I think we need to get divorced. And thank God the pandemic came, and he was facing all the stuff that I do, not only for my house, with also for the community. And he realized, he one day has come to me and cry. It's like, I'm sorry that I, let you for so long by yourself, dealing with my son, dealing with everything. And now look at me sitting in an IP meeting and I don't even know what school my son go because it was also my fault. I was like not delegated to him because I had everything. But sometimes, I encourage the parents, especially the mother, share everything with your loved one, because sometimes it will be too much, and you don't want to wait. Thank God we still, happy ever, ever, ever after married. Now he's involved, so involved that yesterday my son had to go to surgery and he was the one to take it. So I don't feel guilty. I feel blessed because now he's there. He also, still economy wide helping, which is good. But the thing is, like, sometimes um, it's blessed to have somebody to support you. That sometime now I'm open to say to him, I'm tired. Can you take over? Now he know where's everything, and I don't even have to be home. So in that part, I'm blessed. When the beginning, it was totally different.
I wanted to see where to start, but just as Raquel was speaking, and that's we have a lot of similarities. You guys gonna see that because in the beginning it's a little bit different for our husband, as far as like acceptance and understanding what's going on. Just like she mentioned, for myself, I have a wonderful husband. He provides. He loves his children, but he was not into that IEP meeting and IEP meeting. No, I have work. Just like a lot of avoidance of these things, and he will be there for my son, play with my son. But the other thing, it was hard at first him understanding the behaviors of my son, because it was just more like, why is he acting like that? Maybe he needs to be on a timeout. Maybe we need to talk to him. So it took us a while to learn, and we had a good conversation, which was really good. And the good thing about with your spouse is communicating. And when you communicate and you let your heart out, there's one thing about communicating, but letting your heart out, let them know how you feel. And I remember when we communicated, and then I said, hey, I need more support. I need you more involved. Not only taking care of my son, showering him or bringing him to the park, but I want, if one day I'm not here, for you to be able to say, yes, I can go to that IEP meeting confidently, even though my wife is not there. And now he is very involved. He goes to the IP meeting, and even if he's not there, we're able to sit down and go over things. We share everything together, because I'm not gonna be here for a long time. I look young, yes, I know, but there's a lot of young people that pass away, young mothers that pass away. So we got to make sure that we do that. Another thing too, I have my mom, so we are like a big village in my house. So there are times I wake up, I'm cooking, my mom is fixing the clothes, my husband is, getting my son ready in the shower. So this is the village that does everything. So that's the way it is in my house.
About my house, my son has three other brothers who are older than him and a younger brother. We all know how to communicate with Adam, how to not set him off or even give him the look. Sometimes that look can distract him over dinner. So we want to make sure we all know how to behave around Adam. And me and my husband, when it comes to IEP, we always go together. I never went to IEP by myself. And right now, I also created a nonprofit and I work with Somali parents. And my focus is increasing father engagement. And one of the things we did the last year was uh, creating a focus group for Somali fathers and educate them about special education and how important it is for them to get involved with their kids. And we created a manual. So that manual is going to be published very soon. And I wanted to increase father engagement in so many ways. And I also educate myself, taking so many trainings how to engage fathers. And some of the things I learned was mothers always like Raquel, they take over during the IEP meeting. So they need to give space for the fathers and asking them to say, today, when we go to the IEP meeting, we're going to be leading, we're going to be knowing all the goals and if they met or not. So I think sometimes the fathers, we push them, don't we blame them. We need to learn how to balance that.
Thank you for all that. We have one last prepared question, and then we'll have about 10, 15 minutes for questions the audience. This last third question is, what tips do you have in advocating special education support for new citizens and first generational families?
For myself, the tips that I have is, we said it here already, it's learning. It's a learning process. Even though you don't understand the language, you can still connect with organization. You can ask, your local places, your doctor's office. Now, I've been seeing a huge increase with doctors connecting with us that are in the community, working with different families, so they can connect you. Like, for example, my son, psychologist, right? I tell my son's psychologist what I do. I said, hey, if you have a Haitian family, please connect me, right? And then every time I send my support group, anything that's going on within my community, so they can connect me with his people. So that's one thing that I would advise new families. And then the other thing is, I mentioned the interpreting. If you don't understand something, make sure it's written in your language, in simple language that you understand. Speak up. If something is wrong, just speak up. If you don't feel in your guts, because sometimes we feel something in our guts. We're like, this is wrong, but we hold it inside. And then we go complain to people that have no idea about special education. But if you let it out, making people want to help you a little bit more. So that's my advice.
My advice for parents and you know, and also for professional, because sometimes professional also have children with disability, and sometimes they can to me and they say, I feel, I hear you, I struggle also too. Even I'm an assistant. Is to self-educator, use resources that are available, stay informed, know your right, know what is available for you, the law. Be persistent. One of the things that I identify myself is I always be persistent. I always like, hey, this is what my son needs. This is why I think it's benefit for him. Never focus in myself. I always say to parents, never focus on yourself. Remember, you're there in the special education to advocate for your kid. Always talk about what he can benefit. No, I want this as a parent. And also collaborate with the professional.